Welcome to the Dojo Exchange, where we bring the martial arts community together by sharing their stories, experiences, and lessons of the people who dedicate their lives to this art. Today, I have the honor of sitting down with Allen Woodman. Allen has worn many hats throughout his career: martial artist, stuntman, writer, interviewer, and someone who's helped preserve the stories of the martial arts community through his work in media. Allen, thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you. Thanks for having me come on your show.
Awesome, man. It's an honor, honestly.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited. Always willing to and happy to share with people.
So let's take it back. Usually you're on this side interviewing people.
Yeah.
So today we're flipping the script. Let's take it back. Tell me how your journey first began in martial arts.
When I was a kid, my father was in the Navy and we got stationed at Sugi, Japan. And my next door neighbor was going to karate class, and it sounded fun, and I wanted to learn how to jump 40 feet and, do all that stuff that I seen on Kung Fu Theater and Saturday morning. So I went and just from the very first class, I got to train with an amazing man by the name of Roichi Sato. And Sato was one of the original students of Gichin Funakoshi, or I say not original, but he trained with him directly, is my point, in Japan. He might have been original, I don't know, but he's old now. But I ended up starting training with him and just loved it ever since. Literally ever since the first class, I was like, I want to learn how to do that.
I get that.
He took me on as a student. I've been doing martial arts ever since, and primarily my original art was Shotokan, but then I branched out to things like judo and jiu-jitsu. I tried Aikido when I was a kid, maybe I want to say 9 or 10 or something. But I think I was not ready for Aikido. Aikido really takes an adult perspective, and it has to be sort of someone of the mindset, for Aikido. Because, I don't know if you viewers don't know, Aikido is the only true passive martial art in the world. There's no kicking, striking, or intentional hurting going on to an opponent, believe it or not. It's using one's energy against themselves. And that's when you're 9 or 10, I'm thinking, oh, hit the guy, kick him, hit him in the head and knock him out or something. But Aikido doesn't work that way. It's non-aggressive, and there's no competitions. There's no tournaments because competitive nature does not involve Aikido. So I just didn't get it. I tried it for like 6 months. I didn't like it. Later on, I found it again under Walter Todd Sensei. And I was much older. So, I think I was, I don't know, 19, 20, 21, something like that, 20, maybe 20. And then I could sort of grasp the concept a little better. And maybe it was his teaching was more inclined to making me understand or not. I'm not sure. And then I've taken, Filipino martial arts, various systems with Lagamano and Cabrawan. I'm certified in the Cabrawan system and under Estalia, and I've gotten my certificate under in various Filipino arts under various instructors. I've been able to train with people like Kakoy Cañete and Dan Inosanto and Nari Babao, Max Palin. Just trying to, oh God, that's so sort of an endless. Did I say Leo Heron? Yeah, or Master Leo Heron. So just amazing instructors that are now gone. That I think they're all gone now. I don't. Max Palin, I think, is still alive, but I think and Dan, uh, but everybody else, I think, has passed away now. I'm really old, basically. It's what I'm trying to say, generally. And then I moved on to other arts. I when I was in the army for a number of years, and I boxed, and I ended up being the Donnybrook boxing champion for Missouri State, actually, through the army for 2 years in a row. That was kind of cool. So just anything with combat sports and martial arts and martial art related stuff, and you know, just been an amazing journey. And this is like 55 years for me this year.
That's
Like I
incredible.
said, I'm old. I said I'm old. Shut up. Yeah. But
So how long did it take you to get your first black belt?
um, I think in total 11 years or 12 years, somewhere in there. Because I wasn't given my black belt first. I was actually given a Shodan Ho, which is it's a black belt with a white panel inside, right? And because at the time, and this is in the 70s, at the time, um, they weren't big on giving kids black belts, and I was young. I don't know. I think I was 14 or something at the time, and they didn't want to give me the black belt. I ended up having to wait another year and a half or a little more to get my actual black belt. So,
Hmm.
but we're talking about Japan. It's not like they
Yeah,
handed it out,
yeah.
and they certainly didn't hand it out to white people. So and that's not a racist statement. I've lived in Japan 23 years of my life, so um, it's not that they're racist. Let's say they're xenophobic.
Yeah.
They're just like, you don't know our culture and you don't get it, and we're not gonna give you anything unless you know. So it is what it is.
So growing up in martial arts, how has it affected you outside the dojo?
Well, I tend to get angry, but no, I'm just kidding. no, no, not at all. Actually, um, well, it's kind of weird because pretty much my whole life has been martial arts. So, like, the whole world is a dojo sort of thing for me. So, everything I've ever done has been, well, not everything, but I don't know, 80% of my life, I guess, has been martial art related. I doing, so it's, there's an aspect of martial arts in everything, right? And that's,
Yeah,
you know, there's a, there's some silly kung fu movies that are out there that sort of teach the principle that I honestly believe is, I would agree that that's what martial arts is, right? Is that I think it was what, Shaolin Soccer or something like that. You ever seen that movie, Stephen
yeah,
Chow?
yeah,
Great movie, right?
yes,
I think in that he uh he says that you know everything is kung fu, right?
yeah,
If you're cooking, it's kung fu. If you're gardening, it's kung fu. Kind of thing. And I I generally sort of think that in general. I mean, not in a comical way like Shaolin Kung Fu Soccer did, but my opinion is that martial arts isn't everything.
yeah.
It's in the actions you take. It's in how you treat people. It's in your discipline, your self respect, your confidence. I think it's all involved. And if you do martial arts, then I think it will make you a better person in your daily life because you're
100%.
always applying those principles of martial art, right? So
Yep. It
you know,
becomes part of your character. And even
yeah.
Musashi wrote about that
Well,
years
it
ago.
should.
Yeah.
It should.
Yeah,
Let's
it
not
should.
say that it happens for all people that way.
That is true. But
But yeah. Yeah,
He
you were
saw
saying Moyamото Musashi. Yeah,
yeah, he wrote about once you start seeing the way you see and everything, and that's kind of what you're just describing there.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. So, Book of Five Rings, right?
Yep.
Butcher Never Ring show. Yeah. So, it's you know, it it's sort of weird because, like, so I came back to the United States, and I was in various martial arts. I did some Korean arts with Grandmaster Waniki in Austin, Texas, when I was going to college. Um, I ended up being a hand-to-hand instructor in the army. That it's an odd thing. It's not what I went in for, but it ended up the last 14 months of my duty anyway. Um, and I got out and I opened up karate school, and yes, I've had various jobs on the side because martial arts is I'll be honest, there's no real money in martial arts. Let's
No.
face it, right? I mean, you can make some money, but it's incredible. I only know a handful of people in my entire life that I've ever met that actually make a living at it. You know,
Yeah, same.
Rondi McKee. She's actually one of the columnists for my magazine, um, for International Martial Arts Magazine, and she set the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest martial arts school in the world. She has 2,800 plus active, participating, paying students a month, monthly. Right? I mean, that's insane to think about it, right?
That is.
So she's done good for herself, right? She's really big on marketing, and she writes her column is called Fortune Empire. And I gave her the column and I said, look, it's your voice, write whatever you want to write about, right? And to be honest, she's a Korean arts person, and uh, that was something that was not actually seen in my magazine, you know. So
Yeah.
I wanted some Korean art sort of, displayed somewhere in the magazine somehow. And she's a Korean artist, and for the most part, and you know, she decided that no, she wanted to help other people grow their school business. So that's her whole article and her whole column every single month is based on how you can retain students, get students in the door, and programs that earn you extra money for your school. And okay, like she's an amazing person, right? She knows way more than I do. I mean, she knows more than 10 of me know, right? Um, Dan Inosanto, again, somewhat, somewhat because of his relationship with Bruce Lee, but that only took him so far, right? The rest
Yeah.
of it's all skill. The rest of
Yeah.
it's all skill and training.
Yeah.
He's one of the most knowledgeable martial artists I have ever met in my entire life. And he's such an amazing person. I'm really happy that he's a friend of mine, and I'm happy I've got to work hands on with him. And but he does 40 or 42 seminars a year worldwide. He's somewhere every year, every week. He's somewhere doing a seminar. So he makes a comfortable living at it. Good for him. And again, there's a few people, but martial arts in general is not something that generally you make money off of, right?
Yeah.
I've made some money from it, but it's from various sources. Like my
Yeah.
magazine, for example. But I published books. I published, I don't know, over 60 books and instructional DVDs and all this other stuff. And what I've done is I took my martial arts skills and used them in the movie industry,
Yeah.
right? And that's made me now that's a direct correlation to martial arts.
It is. Yeah.
Because trust me, I didn't go into movies going, yeah, I know how to do stunts. My first stunt was, hey, can you do a fall? I'm like, yeah, I can do a fall. Sure, of course. I practiced falls for 20 years at that point or something, or 15 years or whatever it was. I'm like, yeah, I absolutely I can do one. Right. So, and that led to another gig, which led to another gig, which led to another gig, and so on.
So
My
tell me,
my first gig was Greatest American Hero. played a ninja, and he kicks me through a wall, and I get ratcheted back, which is a cord on my back. I get pulled back, and it was fun.
That's
So,
awesome. That's awesome. I was literally just getting ready to ask what was your first gig, and that's incredible.
greatest American hero, and then I've done 79 films to date.
Wow.
I have a couple more slated for this year. I believe there's one coming up with Michael Jai White, um, one with Sean Kanan, and then one with possibly with Jason Statham later this year, I think. So,
Those are some really big names. That's incredible. That is. And
you
those
know,
pic-
it's nice that I could get those gigs. Yeah, apparently, they like old white men in their movie. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, but
yeah, those pictures that you sent me, were you involved in the Michael Keaton Batman movie?
no, I'm not that old. Fuck you.
Oh.
No. Actually, that picture is George Clooney, and I'm
Oh,
on the
okay.
set of Batman and Robin,
Okay.
and I'm one of the hockey henchmen in Batman and Robin.
That is incredible. Like I
Yeah.
grew up
So,
watching those. That is awesome.
and there's a picture of me and Arnold. I think I sent you,
Yeah, yeah, you did.
right?
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna.
that was from the rap party.
Okay.
So it was nice. I was able to get a picture because he's a hard person to get a picture with.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But it was nice that he got me this, and then later on he gave me a nice autographed picture from Conan and the Barbarian that he liked, and it was nice. I'm just happy. I'm listen. I'm honored. I'm honored and pleased that anybody gives me work, let alone that I get to work with such talented people. Like them. You know.
Yeah. So let's backtrack here a little bit. Oh, your magazine, Sidekick magazine, and the one you have out now. Can you tell me how you got started in that?
Okay. So, Sidekick magazine. Okay. So Sidekick magazine, I published about 35 years ago, or so. 35. Yeah, 36. 1990 is when I started that magazine, and it ran for uh, I don't know, ran for about 7 years. Ended up being a very semi-national magazine. Made its rounds. I sold and distributed through World Press, which at the time when people read actual printed magazines way back in the day. This is right around when electricity was invented. Okay. So um, people used to read these things called books and magazines. And they distributed my magazine to God knows how many places. And they had like magazines. They were the ones at the airports, the magazine racks, or they were the ones who shipped to like 7-Eleven and convenience stores and stuff like that. So they got me. Most of my distribution was through World Press, although some of them were, from me directly, you know. Um, that magazine, I started out, it was sort of weird. I wanted to do something. And at the time, I don't know, I wasn't an exceptional writer at the time, you know, but I said, hey, I would just meet people and I would go, oh, that would be a great story. I wish people could hear that. I wish people could find out about you. And so I just said, I'll do it. And a friend of mine was in the printing business. I didn't know crap about printing prior to this or publishing. And he ended up giving me my first computer. He gave it to me. It was a Mac 2 CI. I don't know if you remember. They were about this big. It was a little screen like this freaking large, right?
Huh. Yeah.
And the whole unit was like this little box unit. That was a Mac 2 CI. And he gave me some programs, showed me how to use them, and and then he helped me print the first few issues and till I could make enough money to go to an actual printer and start printing it off. And that's what it was. It was just something I was interested in doing, and I had to find out the hard way about the joke, right? You know how to get $1 million. in publishing? I
How?
start with 2 million. Right? So sort of how it works, right? But it was great because I could, cover people, and it got me access to a lot of doors and people that I wouldn't have met otherwise, right? And it's how I ended up being I was able to train with Masayama for a couple of years in New York. He had a school in New York, and he would come, variable times. And I said, I want to go meet this guy. I heard of him. I knew who he was, of course, right? The Kyokushin founder. And I wasn't a Kyokushin guy, but the instructor of the school, Jose Rivera, had put me in and said, "Hey, you should try it. Get your gi on and come work out." And I found it an interesting art. It's like if you like getting beat on for an hour and a half, then that's the art for you because that's what you do in Kyokushin. You go in the class and you get hit. But it taught me something that my karate had not taught me. My karate was all defense and etiquette and form and bunkai and technique and waza, right? But Kyokushin was about just being in the middle of it, right?
Yeah.
Being like real fighting. This is real fighting. And no, they're not trying to knock you out in practice, but man, you're getting hit. You're probably getting hit harder in practice than someone would hit you on the street,
Wow.
you know? So, and then, being able to meet with Oyama Sensei and then training with him hands on, you know, multiple times, that's just a gift, right? That's
Yeah.
just a gift. And then I took that in 1993. A friend of mine, I was not involved in Wing Chun, but my friend, Steve Swift, he owned a school in New York that was Wing Chun. And he was talking to me and he advertised in my magazine. We did a story on him, and and he said he was going to go to New York to do a seminar with William Chung. And William Chung is a direct student of Bitman, and he's in America. He's like one of the foremost names in Wing Chun. So I went to his seminar, and after taking his seminar, um, he had mentioned during the seminar about how wonderful it was to train with Ip Chun, Ip Man's eldest son, and Ip Jing in Hong Kong. And afterwards, I was talking to him, and I was like, "Wow, that sounds so cool. I would really love to do that." And he goes, "Would you?" I said, "Yeah." So I didn't think nothing of it. 2 weeks later, I got a letter from William Chung, and it was two parts. It was one letter in English and one letter all in Chinese.
Wow.
And the letter in English told me what the letter in English, what the letter in Chinese said. And basically, he said, "Hey, this is a letter I'm giving to you. If you ever make it to Hong Kong, give this letter. It's a letter of introduction from me for you to give to Ip Chun, and perhaps maybe he'll allow you to train with him in the Kun in Hong Kong." So, uh, 2 weeks later, Steve Lee Swift and I were on a plane to Hong Kong,
Wow.
and I ended up, getting trained with him. And then 1 year later, Steve and I brought Ip Chun from Hong Kong and Sam Kwok from Manchester, England. We brought them to the United States for the very first time. Nobody had ever brought them over. Sam had never been. Ip Chun had never been. So,
Wow.
um, and I sponsored it with the magazine. We did several seminars, one in New York, one in Chicago, one in LA, and we covered it with Sidekick magazine. And so, I mean, again, this just shows like this is how martial arts can connect you, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if I didn't do Wing Chun or not Wing Chun, or, yes, I learned a great deal of Wing Chun now, obviously, and it's an amazing art, right?
Yeah.
I'm still traditionally a Japanese stylist doing Aiki Jitsu or Jujitsu, Taizanru, Hakaru, Shotokan Karate, Aikido, right? I Judo. those are still my formative, styles. But I've again gotten involved in doing other arts like Wing Chun. So
So you've had
but
so many.
now we have the new magazine,
Yes, yes.
and that's the new magazine. That we started this. I started this about 2 years, 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
International Martial Arts Magazine, and I'm very proud of that. It's you know, look, I could say that when I was doing Sidekick magazine way back in the day, right when digital wasn't even a thing, right? Um, we had around 10,000 readers an issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys were way ahead of your time. That was before YouTube. That was
Yeah. Wait,
yeah,
internet was not even available. It didn't exist. Right.
yeah.
Back
I
then.
remember reading those magazines. Like I said, I think we still have one at the Dojang because I think,
I'd love to
and
see him here.
yeah, and
But digital, so I reached maybe 10,000 readers, an issue, right? Which is that's good back then, But back then, Black Belt was doing 1 million issues worldwide.
yeah,
So I was at the small end of the spectrum, right? Um, better than others, less than some, right? So, but today in the digital world, I was able to put this magazine together, and so far we've reached almost 800,000 views on the magazine. We're pushing. My goal is to get 1 million by the end of the year. We're really close. We're pushing about 780,000 or something views on the magazine thus far, and we've only been out for 2.5 years, right?
that's incredible.
Because we're able to do stuff we weren't able to do 35 years ago, which was, right now it's online, right? It's a free digital online. I don't know if have you gone to the magazine itself? Have you seen?
Yeah, yes, I have.
We have an incredible platform that makes it page turning like a real book or a real magazine in your hand.
Yeah,
Like nobody else is doing that. You'll get a PDF and you'll push the button, it flips a page, just does this, right?
yep,
Mine does not do that. Mine is literally digitally, it's doing it's literally doing this, right?
yeah.
Page for page. It rolls the pages if you want. And in any position, lower, front, or south, back, forward, doesn't matter, right? So I'm proud. I'm very proud of that. Very proud of that fact. And then we do sell print copies because people like me like print copies. I prefer reading it in my hand personally, but
Yeah, me too. Me too.
yeah. So you can get those on Amazon as well, right? Go to our website, imamag.org. That's imamagazine.org. International Martial Arts Magazine, imamag.org. Right? Sorry, shameless plug. Got to do
No, no, no. Like
it.
absolutely, it's going to be linked into the podcast too. I'm going to make
Yeah.
sure that all the viewers have access to that.
But so here's the thing. I can tell you why my magazine has got so many views because it's free. The digital version is free. There's no sign up. There's no email verification. You don't have to put in your name and get no, literally click, open, read.
Yep,
That's all it is. Right. So I know that's where our views are coming from and that's great. Right. So we're getting around 300 or 400 views a day, which is, I think is phenomenal, you know?
that is.
So, I'm very proud of the magazine and what we've accomplished so far and what we've done. And so that's the story now.
So you've interviewed a lot of outstanding martial artists in throughout your history. Who stood
Yeah.
out the most?
Um, well, it's okay. Yeah, I can't really say that who stood out the most because they stood out for a specific reason.
Gotcha.
And each person stands out for their own specific reason. So you can't say it's like saying what martial art is better. It doesn't exist. It depends on, what are you looking for, right?
Yeah,
If you're
absolutely.
looking
Yeah,
if you're looking for kicks, then go to Taekwondo. If you're looking for throws, then go to Judo Jiu-Jitsu. You know what I mean? If you're looking for, kind of inside fighting, go to Goju or Wing Chun, right? That's all inside fighting. That's what the whole style is, right? So, it's so I could name a few people I loved that I trained with. I've either done seminars with them or classes with them, and I've got to interview them. And that's, let me see, that would be, of course, Masayama. I did Psychic Magazine. I sent you that cover, I think.
Yes.
Is that Psychic Magazine? We had the very last interview ever done with Masayama. We were publishing about 2 or 3 weeks after I did the interview with him. He went back to Japan and he died of.
Mm.
So, that we have the last known, uh, interview with him. So that's really cool. Not his death, but that we were
Yeah.
able to
Preserve it.
consolidate
Yeah.
that, preserve it. Yeah, right. At one
Yep.
time. It's Chun, obviously, right?
Yep.
Being with him and you know, traveling with him, great, amazing instructor. Sam Kwok, right? His student, who now is sort of taken over Wing Chun, right? Everybody knows Sam Kwok. He's the Wing Chun guy, right? Um, Eric Lee, who I've been friends with, God knows, 40 years now, right? Um, the king of kata for a reason, right? Cynthia Rothrock, amazing,
Yeah, she is.
right? I've done uh, 2 movies with her, or one with her, I guess. Another one she's in, I was not with her, but she was in the film. And I think I'll be doing some work on her next film called uh, Black Creek 2. I had to remember the title. Black Creek 2. I think I'll be working on that for a day or two or something. And trying to think. Michael Jai White,
Yeah. He's
right?
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done seminars with him and watching him work and watching, how his mind thinks. He thinks differently than other martial artists. Now, he was a Kyokushin guy. We sort of had that in common, right? And I did Spawn with him. I did stunts in the movie Spawn with him when he
Wow.
first did. And we're trying to get with Michael about doing a feature article in the magazine for a future issue.
That would be incredible.
Yeah, and I will do that probably when we're shooting the film, So, because then I'll sort of have his attention. Um, him and his wife Gillian, but he has a really different perspective and approach to some techniques and martial arts and stuff. So, learning from him's great. But there's other people, Jacob Bresler, he's got his own street smart survival, sort of a Krav Maga system. You know, um, I like the combat and the effectiveness of Krav Maga.
Yeah.
I'm not a Krav Maga person, but I've done Krav Maga seminars and I have a couple of classes here and there. But um, it's unique and it's very combat effective. It's very go go go
Yeah.
sort of thing. So I like that. Filipino martial arts, people like Estelia, you know, um, Dan Inosanto. They just bring another element that nobody knows about. Paulo Ladra, right? Paulo's been a friend of mine for years, and uh, even Kathy Long. I've done several seminars with Kathy. Kathy's been a friend for years. I was in her corner in Mexico when she did her last fight was in Mexico,
Yeah.
and I was in her corner, and she won that fight. She won it against a girl half her age. Literally, she was, what was she, 52 at the time? The girl was 26, I think. And she stomped her good. It was a good fight. I'm in her corner going, hit her. Yeah. But no, she's an amazing person. I don't care what sex they are or what style they are, or, if they've got something to teach me, I've got something to learn. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Same. Same.
Yeah.
So, how do you think martial arts has changed over the years?
Oh, uh, okay. Two sides of the coin on that, if I may. Right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think one side of the coin, and here's the negative, is that I think a lot of martial arts have lost their way. I think it's over commercialized.
Yeah.
I think the sport aspect of it is overdone. Um, I, I think they've lost the majority of the respect and discipline that it once had. Right. But most of my training was not here in the US. It was in Japan. So I'm coming it from that perspective. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
I trained in Japan, right, for 23 years. So I am coming it from that. But here in America, um, there is and excuse my language, there's a shit ton of narcissism in the
yeah,
United States
yeah,
that I honestly I can't seem to get past. To be dead honest with you,
yeah. It's the
I can't get
ego.
past it.
Yeah,
Um, my whole life in Asia, I could probably count on one hand how many people above 8th degree black belt, 8, 9, or 10 I've ever met in my entire life in Japan. Okay, and I've trained at the Hambu Dojo, right? So I've trained with a couple of soke or founders, right? You know,
yeah,
senseis like Mortako Ueshiba, the grandson of Ueshiba, the founder of Aikido. Trained at the Hambu Dojo with them. Um, Hakaru trained with Okayama, Nidai Okayama, who's the son of the founder, right? I mean, I've gotten to train with many people like that, right? And okay, I get it. Their father or the grandfather left them the art, which is traditionally how it's done,
yeah,
right? So you could say they're 10th dan or 9th dan or whatever rank they claim. Okay. But I come to the United States and I can't spit without hitting a 10th degree black belt and a founder of martial arts and, la, la, la. And here's I'm going to rant here for a second, if you don't mind.
oh, go ahead.
Okay. So here's my biggest question. Whenever somebody comes up to me, and I get it a lot, right? People look, I publish a magazine. Do you know how many articles get submitted to me? Put me in your magazine, put me in your magazine, put me in your magazine. I'm the greatest martial artist. Look at all this stuff I've done. La, la, la. I'm a 10th degree black belt, founder of my own style. It's almost always that, right? And those articles will never get published. I'll never publish them. Sorry,
Good, good.
right? I won't ever do it. Um, because my magazine is for the community, by the community, right? But it's like it's real martial arts. It's not. It's let's talk about the history. Let's talk about the art. Let's talk about this technique. Let's talk about Yes, there are some famous people. Of course, I have to have somebody on my cover, right? You know, but let's put people on the cover who have done something legitimate, right? Let's put people, whether you like them, don't like them, agree with them, don't agree with them. I put people like Frank Dukes on the cover because you can say whatever you want about Frank. Frank is a personal friend. He doesn't live far from me here in Vegas. Okay. But he's made an impact because 40 years later, people are still talking about this motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, how
Right.
many people have a movie made? You know what I mean? It's
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That he wrote. Right.
yeah,
As much as Sheldon Medich would like to say otherwise. Right. But it's like, my thing is, you don't know him. Stop throwing frickin' daggers and spears. You don't know these people. Shut up. Just
yeah,
stop parroting what somebody else said as a comment about what they think. I'll be honest with you. Who the fuck are they? To be honest with you, they're nobodies as well, right? So if they have beef, usually those people would go directly to this person. They'll tell them the beef. Okay.
yep,
Uh, there's social media. Social media has people like, and I'll call him out, Manny Reyes,
yeah,
right? Self-proclaimed 10th degree black belt in Kempo, although every other Kempo stylist like bites him about that. Because I think he was like 5th or 6th degree and he just promoted himself to like 10th or something, right? What was he doing for months and months and months on social media? Posting that he's talking to Frank Dukes and talking to his attorneys about he's challenged Frank and Frank is talking to him. He's accepted and they're getting this fight together and their attorneys are talking about the whole That was complete and total bullshit.
Wow.
I was having lunch with Frank and I said, Frank, are you fighting some guy? And he goes, what are you talking about? And I said, there's this guy, Manny Reyes. He goes, I have no idea who that is. And then he calls his attorney and his attorney goes, I'm not talking to nobody. I don't know who you're talking about. Right. So it was all. And then I got it from another third party friend of mine who does speak to him. But man, he told him, yeah, it's just for clicks and likes. It's just to monetize his page and click, and, get the
Yeah.
views and stuff. And I'm like, dude, so you're spreading absolute bullshit. And this went on for God knows 6 months or something, 7 months. And now he's moved on to something else.
Yeah.
He's posted some fake photo of him and Donald Trump or something together. But like, I don't care what your politics are. Maybe not the best person to take a photo with, but
Yes.
Photoshop it.
I read that he gave Donald Trump an honorary black belt or something like that.
No. See again. Has he? No. He wants to because some Korean Taekwondo people gave him a Donald Trump a honorary belt. So now he wants. See, it's the misperception of people go, oh, he gave. No, he didn't give shit. He has no connection to Donald Trump other than he's a MAGA fan and that's it. And I don't care about the politics of it, right? But and I'm not calling him out for this. I'm just saying this is the narcissism. This is the, sort of thing. And, my biggest peeve, let me get back to that, is my biggest peeve is that when people come to me and they say, I founded my own art, first words out of my mouth are invariably, what did you find that wasn't there before you? Right? And
Yep.
he goes, well, I took some jujitsu, already existed, and some taekwondo, already existed, and some judo, already existed. And
Yep.
I put them together. Okay. Now, I'm just using those as a reference. Okay. My issue with that is they're morons. And I'll tell you why they're morons. Okay. And by the way, there's a video on YouTube. You can go find it where I called out a 10th degree black belt to his face. Okay. So I don't play this crap. And at the time, I just recently received my seventh dan, but I've been a 6th degree for like 15, 16 years. Okay. And I called out a 10th degree black belt for just talking nonsense and talking trash on Facebook, right? So here's my thing. Judo works on a principle, okay? It is good for self-defense, but in general, it's a sport, right? It's a national sport of Japan, in matter of fact, okay? And it works on a specific principle of grounding yourself, having your balance in your center, right? At all times, okay? Taekwondo Taekwondo is literally the absolute opposite end of judo because it's on the balls of your feet. It's up, it's jumping. You're never
Yeah.
grounded because that's where you're building your speed from movement, right? Boom, 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 boom. And if you're constantly moving, you cannot be grounded. That's physics. Physics are involved, right? Anatomical law, okay? Gravity. I don't know what to tell you. This stuff exists, maybe 5,000 years before people, right? So, you know, how can you be on the balls of your feet yet be grounded for a throw and be balanced? How does that happen? I don't understand. And then you want to throw, well, we're doing jujitsu. Well, you only throw jujitsu in there because MMA is now fucking popular, right? And again,
Yep.
MMA, fucking sport, right? It's a sport. Brazilian martial arts, great sport. Okay. Does it have applicable self defense techniques in it? Sure. Why? Because it comes from freaking judo and jujitsu. Mieda-san, who came to Brazil because he was working at the Tokyo Bank, opened up a school and taught judo and jujitsu, and Helio Garcia, and then came to that school and then created Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Okay. See, if you know the lineage and you know the history, the reality, not the fake bullshit people want to say that, Shaolin monks from 15,000 years ago,
Yep.
transcendentally, you know, meditated their techniques and that doesn't work, right? So my thing is that they're just people who say this. And I'm not calling out anyone specific. So if you're butthurt about this, then maybe you need to rethink about what you're telling people and how you formulated your system. If that's the case, okay? because I'm not saying any names and I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just saying if you're doing this, you're working in opposition of your own self, right?
Absolutely.
And and I don't understand what is wrong with just passing down the art that you learned. Unless unless that's not the focus. The focus is how great I am. I'm a 10th degree black belt. I founded my own system. I did my own thing, right? When in fact you didn't, right? And then I'll go to the schools and stuff to these teachers. And what are they doing? They're teaching Shotokan katas or Goju katas or Chinese traditional kung fu forms, maybe modified somehow, but so dude, I thought you founded your own fucking art. Like, no, you didn't. You just borrowed from existing arts, right? I learned this, so I'm going to use that. I learned this, so I'm going to use this, but they don't mesh. They don't fit together all the time, right? It just doesn't work that way, right? I wish people would learn that, and I'm sorry I get upset, but it's
No, that's great.
frustrating. Frustrating. So that's my take on. So that's the negative. That's the negative. The positive. The positive is you still have these wonderful instructors that are still around, and they're treasures, man. They're gold. When I came back from Japan, I was 15 plus years ago, 15 something years ago. When I came back right after the earthquake, I came back to the States. Um, I sat down to breakfast with Dan Inosanto in LA, and we were talking till 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And he and I share a teacher, Estelia. Okay. We share a couple of teachers, but Estelia particular. And he said, "Well, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? And what are you doing for the week?" And I said, I just got in from Japan, so I'm not doing nothing. I was gonna go see Estelia. He goes, "You think you can get him back in town?" I said, "Well, yeah, it's about 3.5, 4 hours there and 4 hours back." He goes, "Can you be here at 9:30 at his school, Marina Del Rey?" I said, "Yeah." So I got my car, I drove all night, picked up Grandmaster Estelia in Fresno, drove all the way back to Marina Del Rey. Got there. We were there a little after 9:30. We were a little late, but um, and Dan Inosanto basically closed the school and opened up his classes. And Esteli and I taught all his classes for 4 days at the Inosanto Academy. Right? And that to me, that was first of all, that was so amazing. What an amazing experience, right? And then he paid us, right? Like he paid for the hotel for us. He paid for the food, every meal. We were never allowed to pay for anything. And then he gives me a check for like $1,500. And then I turned around and I gave it to Estelia because he's my teacher and he's the figure, you know what I mean? So I found that to be an amazing experience. And I don't know a handful of people that have had that experience. And I think Dan Inosanto, I think, is probably the most prominent martial artist in the world today. I don't think there's stuff. I don't think there's nothing that man don't know or don't practice or hasn't touched in his life. He just turned what, 80 something, 89, I think,
Wow.
right? And he's still teaching actively. I went to a school a couple of months ago, and
Wow.
he's on the floor, practicing. I sent you a couple of pictures, right? Of a
Yeah.
group picture, and that was us that
Okay.
whole week, right? Teaching at his school, and like that's that is respect, and he didn't have to do that.
No.
Why he did that, I don't know, but he did it. So it's like it was an amazing honor, right? I was allowed to share that with him and Estelia. So just amazing. Like I said, that's a positive. You have people like Inosanto. You have people like I'm trying to think who Chuck Sullivan, who's still around, right? I'm not a Kempo stylist. Chuck Sullivan's one of the original students of Ed Parker, right? I was friends with Ed Parker when I was young. Um, I like to say when I was young and good looking, now I'm just good looking. Okay. Um, but Ed Parker and I were friends, and I had several schools, but my school was in Palmdale, Lancaster, um, just outside LA. And he would call me around 9:30 or whatever and say, "Hey, we're gonna go eat at Wongkok or One Hop Louie's or something in Chinatown," because his school was in Pasadena. And I said, "Yeah, I can be there in like 45 minutes." And I'd get on I had a motorcycle. I'd get on my motorcycle. I'd drive straight on. And we'd have lunch or I'm sorry, dinner, together, and we'd sit and talk and chat. And it's how I know the Kempo people, sort of thing. Chuck Sullivan, great living legend. Still, he's 94 years old, still practices, still teaches.
Wow, that's
I'm
awesome.
like, how, like 94. And I don't mean like an old man, like, no, no, he gets on the floor. He's boom. Okay, I do that. Hop, hop, and he's like, oh my God, don't hit me. Chuck, you're a nice guy. I like you. So, Eric Lee, Cynthia Rothrock, Don the Dragon Wilson, right? These are legends, man.
Yeah, they are.
And they're still around. Go to Kathy Long, 5-time women's world kickboxing champion, right? You know, dude, she hits you like a tank. I'm not kidding you. You don't want to get hit by her ever. Her training sessions will kill you.
I believe it.
I mean, just for warm-ups, you'll die. Your legs will be burning, your abs will be burning, your arms are burning. And you're like, and then she's like, okay, now we're gonna start training. You're like, I'm dead. What do you want from me? But again, there's these people out there. Graciela Casillas, still out there. June Castro, Burton Richardson. You know, yes, I know they're from my time period, right? But I think the 70s and 80s. I think that was sort of the prime time for martial arts in America. Ray Wizard, Cynthia Prouder, right? Two of some of my best friends are, right? Barry Gordon, right? Still out there doing it. Now these are people who are just, known champions. You can't challenge them, buddy. Go ahead. They'll have something to say about it, I promise. Right? But that's the benefit of martial arts. You have the real discipline and the respect and the honor and the tradition and the history and the knowledge. And that's what they bring. They bring the legitimate knowledge,
Yeah,
right? And it's not this made up, I founded my own system crap. It's the real deal. And it's
yeah,
proven. Like get on the floor with them any day of the week. Go right ahead.
yeah.
I dare you. All right. I've been doing this 55 years and I get smoked by these guys. Right. I mean, I get smoked, you know. Not that I'm a great martial artist to begin with, but I'm okay. Yeah.
I've definitely looked into your background. You're definitely more than okay.
I realize I run with sort of an elite group, and I do that because of several factors. One, I'm old. Remember that factor. I am old. As good looking as I may be, I'm old. Okay. So I've been around forever. I've been doing this 55 years. That's another factor, right? I've been involved with martial arts. And I got to train with some of the biggest names in martial arts. And not because, and I've had people always say this word, they go, oh, you're so lucky. Lucky? Luck had nothing to do with it.
Hard
Right?
work.
I did
Yep,
I didn't stumble my ass over to Hong Kong. I bought a damn ticket.
yep,
Right? Why? Because I didn't stumble to George Chung's studio in New York. I walked in the door wanting to learn stuff.
yep.
Right? I found one of my greatest teachers is Walter Todd. Right? Now, sadly, he passed in 2001. Okay? Walter Todd, so many people don't know Walter Todd because he did not he didn't do magazines, he didn't do TV interviews, he didn't do that was just not Walter. I mean, he was just all about the art. Okay, Walter Todd was part of the occupation force after World War II in Japan in 1945, 1946, and so on. Okay, he started training, and I kid you not, at the Hambu Dojo. That means the headquarters, right? At the main headquarters of Shotokan Karate, and became a direct student to Gichin Funakoshi, the founder of karate. All right? Like, who the fuck can say that?
Right. Yeah.
Right? And not just say that, but he was the first foreigner to ever get a black belt from Funakoshi, the first white person ever.
Yeah.
Right? And then he trained. Oh, that's not enough. Oh, that's not enough. Like, that's enough right there, right?
Yeah.
No, not with Walter Todd. No. What does he do? He goes to the Aikido Hambu Dojo and trains with the founder of Aikido, Morihei Ueshiba, the founder of Aikido, and trains with him and gets his 1 through 4 black belts under Ueshiba himself in Japan. Right? No, not enough. Then he goes to Hinori Otsuka, the founder of Wado Ryu. Okay? Takes Wado Ryu and gets a black belt directly from Hinori Otsuka himself. Right? No, not enough. He goes and trains with Kyoza Mifune, the first ever 10th Dan ever in any martial art, not just in judo, any art. He was the very first one, the first 10th Dan. Jigoro Kano, the founder of judo, gave him the 10th Dan. Right? And he studied with him. He was his uchideshi, means he lived and trained with him daily, right? He got his black belt directly from Kyoza Mifune. Right? By the time he died, he was an 8th Dan Aikido, 8th Dan Judo, 8th Dan Wado, 8th Dan Shotokan, 8th Dan Shudokan, like 8th Dan across the board with everything. He had been doing it 60 something plus years at that point. And I happened to be in San Francisco area in Oakland where his school was, and I walked in the door and I sat down and watched a class. And I'll be honest with you, when I first saw when I saw him walk out, his legs were sort of bowed out and he was a little overweight. And when I say a little, he was actually very overweight. And he come, kind of old man strutting onto the floor. And I literally thought to myself, man, this guy's going to get hurt. He's going to hurt himself. Please don't do this. And he took this guy that was way bigger than him. And in seconds, he bam, puts him on the mat. And I'm
Wow.
just like, my eyes were like this big. And I stood and I waited for a class afterwards. I ended up talking to him and he goes, "Oh, you're interested in martial arts?" And I told him I had just come from Japan. This is in the 80s. I had just come from Japan as a kid. And I said, I had trained with a guy in Japan called Sato. And he goes, "Oh, Richie Sato?" And I said, "Yes." And I said, "You know him. He trained with him under Funakoshi in the Hambu back in the late 40s.
Wow.
So so he knew my instructor. I'm like, "Oh, Jesus." So we sort of bonded, right? And I
Yeah.
knew Japanese and his Japanese was horrible, but he had a Japanese wife and a son that was basically my age. And so I ended up becoming his uchideshi. I lived in the dojo. There was a room above the school, and I would there and I'd clean the school and I'd open the door and close it, and I'd be his uke, and I'd do every class with him, and I spent years with that man. And he's an amazing, I mean, see, amazing. And people have no idea. They've never heard of go do me a favor, Google Walter Todd. My Lord. You want to talk about history? There's a guy with history, right? So I've just had that thing. And again, it wasn't luck. It wasn't luck. There was a school. I went into it. I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't I didn't stumble on a rock and accidentally fall in. I went in and I got on the floor and I trained. Right?
Yep.
It's I went to Hong Kong, right? I trained with Ip Chun. I trained with Sam Kwok, right? I've been hands on with these people, right? And th- and then I do movies, right? As a stuntman, because martial arts doesn't pay. You can't make money in martial arts so much, right? So what did I? By the way, I had 6 schools. I had school. Yes, it was my living. That's how I made a living through my karate schools and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, but you can't get rich off of it. Okay.
No.
So, I got into movies, and when I got into movies, there's more people, right, that I get to meet, like Cynthia Rothrock and train with her, and then, and Don Wilson, who I hired for the last movie or a movie I did last. That's coming out soon, I think, Alien Horde. The producers wanted me to do the part. And I told them, no, I prefer be behind the camera. I've done acting. I've starred in several films, and I've been leads in small parts in a shit ton of other films. Um, but in in general, I prefer being behind the camera. I'm the stunt guy, right? I'm the stunt coordinator, the fight choreographer. So I told them, I said, look, this was a very involved film, lots of fight scenes, lots of action. And I was in charge of that, right? I'm in charge of everybody's safety, right? So that
Yeah.
nobody has an accident. So I said, look, I'd rather concentrate on this. Can I get somebody else to do the part? They said, well, it has to be somebody with a name, somebody with thing. And I said, how about Don Wilson? They go, do you know Don the Dragon Wilson? I said, yeah, let's call him. And the producers call him. They ask him. He did it. He flew from England the night before back to LA, and we put him on the set the next day and got to work with him. I had to do a fight scene with him. That was great. You know, uh, so I run in that circle because I'm active, right? I'm active, and I'm doing multiple things. I'm doing my magazine. I'm doing books. I'm teaching seminars. I go to events, right, where everybody's at. I make movies, and I've hosted events like the Masters in Action event. That was the very first martial art convention ever,
Wow.
and everybody came to that. Bill Wallace, Joe Lewis, Cynthia Rothrock, Don the Dragon Wilson, Gerald Okamura, Eric Lee, Benny the Jet Urquidez and his wife, Lorenzo Lamas, Jeff Winka. Everybody came. Everybody came. It was amazing. We did that for 4 years. That event became Dragon Fest, right? Through Gerald Okamura. So, it's just the way it is, right? I'm not afraid as I like, oh, I want to do this. And because of my martial arts training, we commit, right?
Yeah.
We commit
Absolutely.
in martial arts, don't we?
Yep.
So my thing was, if I say I'm going to do it, okay, then let's do it, right? Let's go. I lost money the first 2 years. I only made money the last 2 years of that event. The first 2 years, I lost thousands of dollars both times. But it didn't matter. It's like, hey, how cool is this, right?
Yeah.
Ted Tabora, uh, um, who's passed now, and I think half the people on that poster are gone, right?
Yeah.
Karl Marx, Karl Marx gone. Ted Tabor gone. Estelia gone. Ted Lukai gone. Right? Ted Lukai, if you do not know, Ted Lukai was the first person under Dan Inosanto to get certified in JKD, certificate 001. People like to say Jerry Poteet was. No, Jerry Poteet was with him the in the rank, the promotion,
Yeah.
but he got the second certificate. Ted got the
Wow.
first certificate, right? And Ted was my best friend for God, years and years, 10 years. You know, he had a school in Bakersfield, and I had a school in Bakersfield. I would just pass when I had one at Fresno, Lemoore, Hanford, Bakersfield, Palmdale, Lancaster. So I was doing the rounds every week, and I would pass the school, and we would always go for lunch, or we'd, train a little bit or work out a little bit, and it was fun. Again, see, none of this is luck. None of it. This is I stopped and made it a point to do this,
Yeah.
right? So, uh, you know,
Hard
I'm
work and
not saying,
dedication.
yeah, I'm not saying I'm great at all. I don't think I'm great. I think I'm okay. Yeah, you know why? Because I'm trained with people who are great. I know what great is. I ain't them, right? I've trained with people who aren't great. I'm not them either. Right? You know, I'm somewhere in the middle, I think. But again, that's the narcissist part of the American culture, I think. And I do. I believe that's part of American culture because it doesn't exist that much in Asia.
Yeah.
You know, certainly not in Japan. There's a few recently, but they're crazy people. But there you go.
I really like how our goals align, like preserving the community. And I love how you mentioned Frank Dukes. I've actually talked to him, trying to get him on the podcast.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, yeah,
If you'd like, I can try and I can call Frank and see if he'll come on the show.
that would be incredible. That would be incredible.
He lives 25 minutes from me, just down the road.
So I do have one more question for you.
Sure, one per customer. Go ahead.
If you could give some advice to the next generation of martial artists, what would it be?
Oh, shut up and train. Just shut up and train. Like, get off the fucking tablet, get off the sofa, get off your phone, right? Get in the dojo or school or kun or quant or whatever you want to call it, and train. And no offense, cowboy the fuck up.
Absolutely.
Because look, I look at my face. Do you not think I've been hit? People probably like, you got hit like 150 times. Yeah, probably more than that. Okay, but I'm telling you now, like, you're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get hurt. That comes with the territory, right? It's like thinking I'm gonna go ride a horse and I'm never gonna fall. Yeah, good luck. Let me see. Let me know how that works out for you, right? Hey, because everybody who rides horses at some point gets thrown or tossed or falls or something. Right? It happens, and you know the adage, right? You get back up on the horse. Martial arts is exactly the same way. You know, you're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hit in the head and the stomach. You know, now I wouldn't suggest getting things broken in a martial arts school. I think that's the teacher doing bad things, right? Eh? But really, it sort of depends on the style that you take.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're kickboxing, yeah, you're probably gonna break a nose.
Yeah,
You're probably gonna break a finger. You know, it happens. Dislocate a couple of toes. It happens.
yep,
Okay. You you might even tear an ACL or something. That's the hard part, right? That's when you get, but you don't want to do that. But just understand that, like, get your candy ass off the computer, get your butt off the sofa and and go go train and work out. And if you get hurt, get back up, do it again until you get it right. And and then pass that on to the next person.
absolutely.
That's I think where martial arts should be going. That's what I think martial arts should be doing.
I
So,
agree with that 100%. Like I said, it's been a real honor talking to you. This has been great.
honors mine. Thank you very much.
Real,
If you guys want, I my books are available on Amazon. There's Hojo Jitsu, the Binding Art, Hojo Jitsu, the tying your enemy, the art of tying your enemy. There's some DVDs that are available. There are digital downloads as well. I think you can go to EM3 Video. They have some my videos. Um, I have other ones like the History of Japanese Martial Arts and Introduction to American Wado-Ryu and Fundamental Karate. I don't know. I've countless books. So go buy a book. Grab the magazine. Go to Amazon and look up International Martial Arts Magazine. There's 27 issues, and as of tomorrow, there'll be 28 issues.
check them out,
The
guys.
August issue is coming out. So Steve Ross is on the cover of that, and it's a special Korean arts issue. So the majority of the magazine is Korean arts based. So Tang Sudo, Taekwondo, ATA, I think so.
I'll def-
It's just we love sharing, and that's I want to. Can I say this last thing?
yeah, go ahead. It's yours, man.
When I do martial arts, people always say, "Can you teach me?" or "Will you come teach me something?" And it's sort of it's not how I think. It's honestly not how I think. I go, no, but I can come share some information with you, like I'm doing on your podcast. I'm just sharing I'm sharing my viewpoint and my perspective and what I know, my knowledge, my history, and when I'm on the floor, same thing. I'm going to share something that somebody shared with me. Right? My teacher taught me this. Let me show you that, and I'll show you why. Right? I'll explain why it works this way and not that way. Right? So
Yep.
my thing is about sharing, whether it's my books, my videos, my movies, my magazines, whatever it is. I'm all about sharing with the community. Let me just share some stuff. And if you go to my social media page or Sumiko Nakano's page, who's our vice president, or whatever, and you say, and I love the social media posts where people go, you know, we'll cover like a technique or something, history, whatever. And people like to claim that Sumiko's not a real person, which is just like dumb. Like you should go talk to her about that, not me. I have nothing to do with it. But the thing is like, if you don't like something on your social media page, there's a button. It's called block.
Yeah.
There's another button that says, I'm not interested. There's another one that says, do not follow, unfollow, right? There's all kinds of ways, right? If you see stuff you don't like, if you think because Sumiko loves to make AI videos, right?
Yeah.
Good for her. She's better at it than I am. I can't do. I'm I'm learning AI, but I'm not good at it. She's amazing at it. You've seen some of her videos, like
Yeah.
her walkthrough Aizu and like those are like movies. And I'm lucky I get two stick figures to fight each other correctly. But um, if you don't like what's on our social media pages, don't look at it. If you don't like what I'm saying on this podcast, don't watch it. I hope you watch it. I hope you watch it.
Me
Good
too.
podcast, good guy, good questions, right? But the thing is, if you don't like it, don't look at it. It's really that simple, right? Stop being a critic. Stop being an armchair warrior, an armchair commando. Because another peeve of mine is when I see, and I don't post a lot of instructional stuff. Sometimes I do, but it's not my main thing, right? But I see some people that do post something, and the first thing is you get 150 comments going, that's not real, and it would never work on the street. And I'm like, dude, who are you? Shut up.
Yeah.
And here's my biggest thing. Where's your work? Where's your instructional videos? What are you posting on social media to help create the community and share your information out there? Where's your book? Where's your video? Right? Where's your career? What events have you hosted? What events have you done and you put together? Right? Stop bitching, start doing.
Absolutely.
Right? Kind of goes with that get off the sofa thing, right?
Yep.
Those armchair commandos, like, get up, do it yourself, right? Stop annoying people with what you think because you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. I know who my friends are. Trust me, you're not one of them. The people who go, oh, I know Alan, and no, you've never met you, dude. I have no idea who you are. I don't know where you come from. I don't, whatever. But go have your own life. You spend way too much time on social media.
Yeah. I had a really good conversation with the president of the National Karate Jiu-Jitsu Federation, and
Uh-huh.
he was talking about the internet black belts and how, everybody has an opinion and
Yep. That it's black belts and assholes. Everybody's got one.
yeah. Yeah. He said that when he talks to him, like he'll put a little B for, if they're the internet black belts, he'll put a little B for black, little B for belt.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little B. Little B. I've had people, as you know, I've had people even challenge my own history. And, they do things, they say these wonderful words. Our investigation shows, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you suck as an investigator. Fucking
Right.
Google me for Christ's sake. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I I've got multiple websites and not just mine, other people's websites, right? Other stuff. You can just Google my name, martial arts, and I'm sure Google will spin out. Although Google gets it wrong sometimes because they still have me listed as 71 years old. I'm not that old. Okay. I'm old. I'm not that old. Okay. So it's sort of funny. Google has me as 71 years old. I don't know why, but
Like, I don't know if
confused.
my camera will pick this up, but I'm
Oh yeah.
gonna
Are you Googling?
yeah. Your IMBD, your IMDb.
Oh yeah, with my list of credits.
Yeah, as soon as it pops up, as soon as your
And
name pops up, it's
endless,
yeah,
the endless line. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I'll be honest with you. I would really be proud if I could get to 100 films. That's a lot. Right now I'm at 79. I got 80 coming up soon. So but 82, 83 maybe. It might take a couple of years, but I'm willing to put in the time and the effort for what I want. But my whole thing is, you know, stop trashing other people. Okay, you're not a private investigator. You're not. When you Google something, read where it comes from first of all. See, like Google even gets my age wrong, right?
yeah.
If you want to know, call me, talk to me. I'm on Facebook, and if you're polite and respectful, I'll answer a question you got, and I'll show you proof of it. Right? I got my certificates, I got pictures, and I've had a crazy life there, bud. I've I've had a now. I mean, growing up in Japan as a kid, that's one thing, right? But then moving, because my dad was in the military, we moved all the time, right? So
Yep,
just lost countless stuff. And that's way before digital even existed. So photos are gone. There's lots of stuff that's gone. If you want to find out about my history personally, there is a book that I wrote called it's an autobiography. It's called History in the Making, and I put it out a few years ago. And it was when I was only the 5-time international champion. I am now the 10-time international champion
okay.
as as of last month. Right?
Wow,
Um, and it talks about how I got started, who I trained with. It shows a lot of the evidence, shows the photographs and stuff that were taken that I did have access to, right? And documents sort of my life in the military, and then getting into movies and writing books and magazines and teaching seminars worldwide, Russia, uh, Japan, having a school in Japan, uh, India, China, trying Puerto Rico. I'm trying to think of everywhere I've been. Indonesia, like Korea. I've been everywhere for Christ's sake. Kazakhstan. There's a wild country you just wouldn't think I'd been to, but I've been to Kazakhstan. Taught a seminar there.
wow.
Um, it's like it's all in that book. So it's called History in the Making. It's a great book. It's full color. I think it's like 200 pages. It's sort of a photographic look at my history. Has lots of photos and events and stuff, the Hall of Fames, and that's a whole nother story. Right?
Is it
But
on Amazon?
it is, yeah. It's called Allen Woodman, History in the Making. Right? You can go check it out. And you know, you want to find out. See, investigators, right? Investigators. Our investigation, dude. You clearly didn't buy my book because it's all right there. My whole friggin' life is in that thing, right?
And not only that, internet trolls can get on the internet and change anything they want to change about you.
Yes, and I've seen that actually happen. I know of it, but we're not going to give him any credit. So, um, there is a troll that has been attacking Sumiko, my vice president, right? Who's in Japan. Okay, um, she they've been creating photos of her, and then they're creating AI photos of her
Wow.
and saying that she created them. And I'm like, dude, I know almost, I think I've seen almost every photo she's ever posted, right?
Yeah.
Because I publish a magazine and I'm friends with her for like 2.5 years, like, or 2 years or whatever it is, right? And, we talk almost daily, okay? I pretty much have seen almost every photo she's ever done, okay? And the photos they're sublime. I've never seen, and she doesn't like. They got her in UFC gear, and she never wears UFC gear, not ever. Right? So it's they're making stuff up now because they can't prove what they're saying about her, so they're
Yeah.
gonna make up evidence about what they're saying about her and saying, see, she did this. She stole somebody's identity. I'm like, she didn't do that picture. Where the fuck are you getting that from? Right? Sort of thing. So but look, trolls are out there. There's a cool, group out there now. They just started. I joined the group. I don't know who started it. I don't know who creates it. I don't know who does it. Some Mick Quigley character or something. I don't know the guy. Um, but I was invited to the group, and it's called the Troll Patrol. And I like their mission. Their mission is to go against trolls. If people are getting bullied online, cyber bullied, right? That they want the community to come together on this and then blast that person. Just
Yeah.
just with hey, stop trolling. Stop picking on this person. You don't know this person, shut up. Right? Sort of thing until that person will give up. Our person who I referenced a couple of times has been magically offline for the last 6 days now.
Good.
Yeah, right. Because one of my old students and a friend of mine went after him. They said, "Dude, we know you. We know you're a fraud. Where's your black belt? You're questioning everybody. Who are you? You're against AI, but you're using AI to write your stupid post. You're using AI to create the artwork on you. Like, but you're against AI, right?
Yep.
And you're picking on Sumiko, and she's got 900,000 followers. So go figure that one of those 900,000 are not going to like this guy, right?
Yeah.
Who's got 5 followers, and I'm not exaggerating. He's got 5. So
That's great.
you know, and this person, after these 2 guys went after him saying, "We know you're a fraud. Look, we'll come and meet you anytime you want, or you want to come fly out to me, let's go." And the very next day he was, "I'm going to take a break off social media for a while." So,
Lesson learned.
funny how that works.
Yeah.
Funny how that works. And again, I had nothing to do with it. I didn't even know about it. They told me afterwards, and I'm like, because I had blocked him, so I don't know what he posted. And they'd say, "Hey, by the way, did you know?" And I'm like, "No, when did this happen?" "Oh, yesterday." I'm like, "Oh, okay, good." Good, good. But it's like, again, if you want to know real history, get with people who know the history.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't, if I can, I know it's going long. I
Oh,
apologize.
no, no. I have all the time in the world.
So, there are people martial artists who, again, part is an art system, part of it, is bad knowledge, right? Bad understanding of history,
Yeah.
a lack of interest in actual researching. Researching means you're going to 2 or 3 different places to find the information, and you're only going to use the information that matches on those 2 or 3 different sites. You can't go, "Well, this one said this, but neither one of these say that." Like, then that's probably not true, right? Because there's no factual evidence to back that up, right? So researching takes time, and it's a very deliberate process, and they don't do research. And I get people who, one guy told me, I think the other day, was talking about Rory and Gracie challenged Helio Gracie or something, and that's how Brazilian jiu-jitsu began. I'm like, "No, like, I don't know where you get this stuff, right?" And then somebody, oh, here's a prime example. Great example. Love this. I was just talking. You know who Gary Dill is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Gary Dill's probably one of the preeminent authorities on JKD. He was a student at the original Oakland dojo from Bruce Lee, right? Back in the freaking 60s. All right. So, and he was an NCIS investigator for years. Anyway, I was discussing this with him, is that there's a story that it's been in a movie called The Dragon, right? About how Bruce Lee got into a fight with Wong Jack Man. You know the story, right? Everybody
Yeah.
knows the story.
Yeah. I've heard it.
This death match, right? That Bruce Lee had with Wong Jack Man. And when he turned his back, Wong Jack Man hit him in the back and broke his spine. And he spent months in the hospital in traction, right? And then his wife, Linda Lee, was under his bed, or, with him in the room. And he dictated his Tao of Jeet Kune Do book to her, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Such a crock of horse shit. All right. I mean, this is how shit just gets distorted
Yeah.
so badly. Okay. Bruce Lee injured his back, pulled a muscle, okay, strained a muscle in his back doing morning stars. And these are where you're just lunging with weights at an angle. Okay. They're called Morning Stars. He was doing that with another person and Chuck Norris. I forget who the third person was there, but they were working out in the gym together. Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, and this other guy. Right. And Chuck Norris, the week it happened, did a radio interview discussing it, and it's online. Go look for it. Right? Google it. It's Chuck Norris a week after saying, yeah, he was doing some morning stars and he did this one and did too far with the weight was too heavy and he strained his back and he went to the hospital. He was released the next day. No broken back, no death match, none of that crap.
Wow.
Right? And these are facts. These are not, this isn't like me, what I think.
Yeah.
Eh? I've talked to Dan Inosanto and Alan Joe and Taki Kimura and Jesse Glover. I've talked to all people who know him, right? And they all know exactly what happened. They were there. Okay. And they've all told me the same exact story. Right. And as much as people like to worship Bruce Lee as the greatest martial artist of all time, okay, there's two things I want to say about that if I can. May I?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, two things. He was phenomenally gifted athlete.
Yeah.
Okay. He was a decent actor. He wasn't the best actor ever. He's not Oscar worthy. He was a decent actor. Okay. There's lots of good actors. He was one of them. Right. He was always searching for fame. He wanted to be famous as long as he can remember. Did you know that he did 5 movies as a kid?
No, I didn't know
6,
that.
7, 8 years, 9 years. Yeah, in China.
Wow.
He was a kid actor in China, and they weren't martial art movies. They were just movies. And he, I think a couple of those movies he played like a little street urchin kid sort of thing, bad guy, right? Bad kid,
Hmm.
right? So he wanted to do movies, and when he came over to the United States, nothing changed. He wanted to be famous, right? He wanted to do stuff, right? He had an ego. That man had an ego you could drive a truck through, right? Every single person that knows him says that. Literally, that knew him personally. They're like, well, I mean, he used to wear a fur coat in the middle of July in California. Okay.
Wow.
That's a little on the pompous side, he's Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Right. But as gifted as he was, phenomenal as he was, let me leave this with you. Okay. I'll leave this opinion with your audience. All right. If somebody who trained in martial arts for 15 years, around the age of 26 years old, this is for every black belt instructor out there, okay, who worships Bruce Lee, right? If a 26-year-old came to you and said, I've been training for 15 or 16 years in martial arts, and I created my own system and style that's better than all other systems or styles, what would you tell that person?
Same thing that you said earlier about,
Like, get the fuck out of
yeah,
here.
pretty much.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And I'm not cracking on his JKD. It's inventive, it's unique, but it's not all that unique. This is a man who railed against traditional martial arts,
Yeah.
right? He did. He railed against. He fought. Oh, traditional arts are useless. Yet based his entire JKD system 70 to 80% on traditional Wing Chun Kung Fu, which was basically his format,
Yeah.
his foundation from McMahon, right?
Yep.
And even in his own book, Tao Chi Kondo, his own hand drawings are Wing Chun positions with your
Yeah.
feet and your hands,
Yep.
right? So it's like, how can you bitch about traditional arts yet it's the foundation of the art you're saying is you created?
Yeah.
And it doesn't that go back full circle to what I was talking about earlier?
It does. It
Right?
does.
You didn't find nothing; it was already there,
Yeah.
right?
I,
And I said this to Gary. I said, you know, well, some of it's boxing. I'm like, great. When did Bruce Lee become a professional boxer? When did he become an amateur boxer? Oh, that's right. He didn't. He got introduced to Muhammad Ali and a couple of boxers,
yeah.
okay, and saw that their jab and their hooks worked, and he liked that, so he incorporated in his JKD system, okay? But that's like saying, I want to learn how to be a pro boxer, but I'm going to take it from some guy who's never been in a boxing ring. What sense does this make? People go, yeah, but look, he fights 20 or 30 guys and beats them all. Yes, because they're paid to fall down. It's a movie,
Yeah.
right? It's a movie. Yes. Did he do like he did a fight on Enter the Dragon on the island with one of the stunt guys? But who nobody can verify how good was the stunt guy. He was a stunt guy.
Yeah.
Was he even a black belt in anything? Probably not, right? He was just a hired stunt guy, right? And Bruce Lee beat him up. Well, he was fast and he had some good techniques. Good for him, right? That doesn't make you world champion of all of a sudden,
No.
right?
You mentioned Ed Parker earlier. To
Yeah,
me, I've
right.
always felt like Ed Parker had just as much impact to the martial arts community as Bruce Lee
Oh,
did, except Bruce Lee was just
100%.
mainstream. That was the only main difference.
That's it. Yeah, because Ed Parker did a bunch of movies, but he was always in the background. He
Yeah.
was the bodyguard. He was the bodyguard to Elvis Presley too, as well. Did you
He
know
was
that?
on I Love Lucy, I believe, too.
Yeah. Oh, he was on a ton of shows, ton
Yeah.
of movies.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, right? Chuck Norris's very first film. It was Chuck Norris, him, and two other people that were on Chuck Norris's very first film. Um, so Ed was a great guy. Okay, I've been on the mat with Ed. I've been his uke. If people ask me, so you're saying you trained with Ed Parker? No, didn't say that. I said I was his uke. He can throw me around, beat me up. That's what I was there for, right?
Yeah.
Have I trained with him? No. And I would never say that. And the funny thing is, we were at an event at a dinner or something, and Ed Jr., who I've known for countless years, Bear, he was sitting at the table, and somebody had asked me that, and they said, "So you trained with Ed Parker?" And I said, "No, I would never say I trained with Ed Parker." And Bear turns around, who was seeing me on the mat with his father, turned and goes, "You're the only person I've ever known that says you've not trained with my father." Because everybody says they trained with Ed Parker. I'm like, dude, well, I'm tell the truth. I'm not trained.
Yeah.
I've been I've been hands on with Wally J and Sid Koffroth. I've been on the mat with them as an uke, or they've taught me this or that. Can I say I've trained with them? I said I've done a seminar or something, right, or a class. You know I've been on the mat twice with Gene LaBelle. Okay,
Okay.
I'll never do it again. Thank God I'm sorry he died, but I'm glad he died because no, that gorilla, are you kidding me? He gets a grip on you, you're done,
Yeah.
right? He was amazing, right? But would I say I trained with him? No, I was basically a throw monkey for a couple hours with him. That's all I was, you know? It's great to have those experiences, right? But you have to separate the experience of doing something with training,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
There is a difference.
100%.
Okay, for oh yeah, he showed me this or showed me this. He
Yeah.
showed me foundation of that. Okay, that's great. I took that in the knowledge, right?
Yeah.
They shared with me. Okay, but again, I would never say, oh, I trained with these people because I'm not their student.
Yeah.
I never went to regular classes with these people, right? But they're phenomenal people. You know, so it's sort of goes with that. Ed was phenomenal. He was super fast. I mean,
Yeah.
you think
I
Bruce
believe
Lee
it.
was fast? Ed was fast. Ed was fast. Do you know Dan Inosanto? Do you know that Dan Inosanto already had a black belt in judo? And I'm not sure if I think he was a brown belt under Ed Parker at the time when Bruce Lee came to the internationals 1964.
Hmm.
And Ed Parker had told Dan, "Hey, I want you to shadow Bruce Lee because he's a little cocky, right? He has
Yeah.
the mouth,
Yeah.
right? And he's going to be on the floor with all these real fighters who are doing real contact fighting, like Chuck Norris, Bob Liddell, uh, 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 Bob Wall, Bill Wallace, uh, Joe Lewis, Benny they were all fighting. And by the way, this is when you didn't have pads. There was no such thing. Fighters, you got your mouth busted half the time in a fight back then, right? But they had control. They pull their punch. But still, you got popped every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Again, Bruce Lee wasn't on that floor. He didn't compete. And he had a mouth. So he said, Dan, I need you to watch him. And that's when he met Bruce Lee, and that's when they became friends.
Hmm.
They spent the whole weekend together and they were just like friends. Okay, hey, let's do this. So again, it's what people don't know, right? It's the stuff they don't know that those are the volumes of books they need to read. Stop reading the stuff you already know.
Yeah. Or just assuming what you see on the internet is true, you know?
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. A lot of people do that, don't they? You know, I don't know if I'll be honest with you. I don't know if social media is good or not. I use social media because I publish books and magazine and stuff like that, and I just share my life, right?
Yeah.
And my material with people, and it's a good way to sort of get that word out there, right?
Yeah.
Through social media and stuff. It's a great way to do that. But the other half is anti-social media, you know, and it's sad, but it's the way it is, right? And so I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with you. Sometimes it's good. Some days are good, and some days are bad, right?
Yeah.
You know, I love scrolling and watching people. They're doing fights in tournaments, or doing techniques. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. There was an Aikido video that I saw where he does a kotegaeshi throw, and then through that, or no, he does a shihonage throw. Sorry, he does shihonage throw, and then steps over and rolls, and has the guy roll with him, and turns and locks his arm in the legs as he rolls. Right, and I'm like, I had not seen that before. I'm like, that's interesting. Right, but guess what? I picked it up. I trained with it with my student. We went to the internationals. I used that in the self defense section. I did a whole routine. That was the last move in my self defense section, right? I think we had like 14 techniques or something, and we ended up winning the self defense division. That was the 10th time in a row. And I used see like it can be a great tool.
Yeah.
Learn stuff, dude. Oh, I haven't seen that look cool, right? That look good. I bet I can. Let me break that down. How did you do this? Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, okay, I can do that, right? Practice it. Okay, yeah, we can do that, right? But martial arts is that way. And, some of the stuff I love seeing is the old people put up the old videos of Ueshiba doing Aikido,
Yeah.
right? Funakoshi doing kata, Nishiyama doing kata, right? Or fighting or whatever. It's like Gogen Yamaguchi doing Goju-Ryu, right? These are amazing things. You know what I mean? Go watch those. That's the founders doing it, right? Go see how they do it, right? And if your teacher is not doing it that way, I would say he's doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Look at them, look at him or her, and if they're not doing it like them, then
Yeah.
there's some discrepancy, right? There's some
Yep.
discrepancy, right? And the
Uh,
commercialization of martial arts in America is, again with the narcissism. One thing, one of the things are the belt ranks, right?
yeah.
And the Korean arts sort of propagated a lot of this. When the Korean arts came in, they had this multiple belt ranking system, multiple colors. Karate generally had like 5 or 6 belts, right? We had white, white, yellow, green, brown, black, generally white, yellow, orange, green, blue, brown, black, right?
Yeah.
But then Korean arts came in and they commercialized the shit. They were smart. Dude, you can't say nothing. They were smart.
Yeah.
The Koreans, they're business oriented. They're like, hey, y'all are fucking it up. you know, Let me show you how it's done. And guess what they did? It's white and white stripe and white stripe and white stripe, and then yellow with yellow stripe and yellow with white stripe, white stripe, white stripe. And then there's orange and then white stripe, right? They added like freaking 27 belts,
Yeah.
you know, but that makes income because you're testing students and they grow up. Now, is there some legitimacy to that? Sure. Sure. I don't care if that's Jigoro Kano is the one who founded the belt system. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that.
The founder, they're in traditional Japanese martial arts in the 20s and 30s. It did not. It was just white and black. That's it.
Hmm.
There was no ranking definition. Okay. Jigoro Kano was the one who said we can put the Qs in there. So we started 9Q, 8Q. Q is a step, right? So ninth Q, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then black belt, right? So nine
Yeah.
Qs, then black belt. And then that translated eventually into color belts, the white, the green, the brown, the black, etc. Right?
Yeah.
But the Koreans, they came in. and they manufactured their belts, and they were like white, and then there's a freaking cream, and then there's an orange, and we're gonna put orange stripes, and then the orange stripes with more stripes, and then past that, then we're gonna do like a purple, right? We're gonna do purple, and that then there's gonna be purple stripes, and then there's green and green stripes, and then there's blue with stripes, and then there's red with stripes, and then there's brown with right, like because it's $15-$25 every time you put a new
Yeah.
stripe on the belt, right?
Yep.
Kind of thing. You get what I'm saying? So
Ab-
that's smart in a way, and that's it. I don't see anything wrong. People go, "Well, that's just commercializing the art." It's like, dude, you got to keep your doors open
yeah.
because the dojo is not free. You have to pay the rent, and rents are fucking expensive these days. You have electricity, that is way expensive these days, right?
Yep.
Air conditioning and heating in the winter, and all the equipment, the training pads, the mats on the floor, all of that. None of that shit is free.
Yep.
The instructors and the school owners have to pay for that crap,
Yep.
right? And then they have to pay for the instructors to pay to be there to teach, right? Most schools lose money. Most schools, the instructor has his own job, and part of the money he makes goes in and supports his school every month. That's most teachers,
Yeah.
most
Wh-
school owners.
Like me, my day job, I'm an EMT. That's my day job. I pretty much just volunteer my time as an instructor.
Right. But are
Yeah.
you an instructor, or do you own your own school?
I'm one of 3 that run it. Like, we don't
Oh,
own it, but
okay. Okay. So, but you guys do it because you love doing it, right?
yeah. Yeah.
And that's the same thing with the school owner. They do it because they love doing it. It's their passion.
Yeah.
And you got to keep the doors open. You got to advertise to get more students in, kind of thing, right? So
Yep.
the Q rank, like that, those stripes, all that's doing is like that's telling the instructor at a glance, oh, you should know this, this, and this by this point. That's the color and that's your stripe. So that's what you should know here. Let me see if you know that, right?
Yeah.
So I understand the principle of it, and I get it if you're running it that way. If you're doing it solely as a money making device, then there's something wrong with that.
Oh, yeah,
Your
absolutely.
mind's in the wrong place. But
Yep.
if you're using like it's intended, you know, then the each belt promotion helps the student, right? Because they see themselves leveling up, means they want to continue. They want to get to the next level. They want to get to the next stripe and the next color, right? Right. That's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. The Koreans sort of came up with that, and they ran with it. Now most schools use that. Now you got kind of silly things like camouflage belts and
Yeah.
pink camouflage belts and
Yeah.
gray camouflage. It's like, oh my God, that's going a little over. See, now that's when you're going wrong. Because like, what the hell, camouflage? What do you hide? The idea is to see it, not camouflage it. That's the whole. You're missing the whole point of the belt. And so the instructor knows exactly what level you're at, right? So camouflage, I can't see the damn belt, so I don't know what level you're at. I don't know. You're trying to hide like a ninja. Shut up. Okay, ninjas aren't real, right?
Yeah.
Frank's
My
writing a book. Dukes is writing a book right now called "Ninjas Are Bullshit." Can't wait till it comes out.
Yeah, I can't either. I'll definitely check that out too.
But anyway, that's my rant. I love martial arts. There's stuff I don't like about it, stuff I love about it, but there's more love than hate.
Yeah.
More love than hate. So I still do it. Right?
It's definitely been an
Right.
honor having you on, man. Like,
No, thank you again. I didn't
you're
mean to
welcome.
hijack your show.
Oh, no, no, no. 100%. This is your platform. Like, I get you guys here. I want to hear your story, and I love it.
Thank you again, and anytime. And go catch my magazine or my
Absolutely.
books on Amazon, International Martial Arts Magazine, or Allen Woodman, or come see me on my Facebook account or my TikTok or my Instagram or my Threads or my Lemonade or my I don't God knows how many social media accounts I have. I hate it.
Yeah.
I can't keep up. I can't keep up. But hey,
Oh,
watch the Dojo Exchange because cool show.
thank
Check it
you.
out.
We're out on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. I think there's a couple more, but those are the main ones. YouTube.
You're on YouTube
Yep.
as well. Obviously, you
Yep.
broadcasting you. Go watch the show, guys. Go watch the show. Support the guy. He's doing a good job.
Thank you,
Doing
sir.
good things
Thank
for
you.
the community, right? Putting it
Thank
out
you.
there. Thank you much, man.